Hello, everyone, and thanks again for joining in. Yeah, good old technical difficulties, and that is the most frustrating part of it all. That it goes ahead and decides to take a dump right when it wants to. But anyway, we were getting into a really great story with Kaelen Jones about his time with the Ringer actually, and how he got laid off and so forth from the Athletic, and how he still has his apartment out in um, Austin. So I see that he is joining the Zoom session. He can probably hear me as I am talking to all of you. And then there it is. You've loaded, and look at that, a scenery change. That's
There you go.
fantastic. Let me go ahead and bring you up here and do this all on the fly because
Sorry about
that's
that.
you did not crash my computer. I did. So that is not your fault. That is mine for whatever reason. But now we're back together.
Indeed.
And you're streaming. Oh, that is so much. Yeah, because I think the old stream is hung up for whatever reason, but that
It
is
happens.
why we are here. Yeah. So anyway, and I like I said, thank you everyone for joining and being so patient with me because I cannot wait to rebuild this piece of crap computer and have a lot more goodness and more stability. But anyway, that is coming to you eventually. Chat is open, so please feel free to go ahead and add those in there. But we were just getting into the story about how Spotify is still have your apartment in Austin. You have all your stuff there, but then Spotify is still allowing you to, still paying you, eventually, still paying you,
Yeah.
thankfully. But now it's just a matter of when do you go? Like, what will it take for you to go back? Obviously, I'm sure you're having fun in Pullman, but I mean, what would it be just like the first sign of cold, and it's like I'm out?
Man, I don't know. That's the thing. Like it's been great. That's the weird thing. I wasn't expecting to stay here so long. So I've been here longer than I thought I was gonna be. But it's a good thing, and I don't know what's gonna get me to go back. I
Yeah,
feel like I should go back so I get into, with the NFL getting ready to start up. Like
of
I feel
course.
like I need to be in, my own workspace, but we'll see. It's very everything has been fluid, and I feel like that's been my theme
Right.
for 2020. So
Yeah, you got to be able to just like, okay, what do I got to do here? What do I got to do here? And that's actually funny too, because
yeah.
when it all crashed, I knew we were talking about only doing a 30-minute show, so I guess it was a sign.
That is funny.
That's
Yeah.
what we were only supposed to do. But I do have some questions for you because we are coming up at the top of the hour. So I usually
Sure.
ask people particular questions. So I have a couple from the game. If you had to,
Okay.
two particular situations, and you get to go ahead and tell me which one. They're not too lewd, or rude. So these are just here. First one: emit ink like a squid when you get scared, or take the SAT over and over and over until you get a perfect score.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'd probably take the SAT over and over again, but that math, I don't know if I'd ever get 100 in that math.
that's the thing, right? I
That
mean,
that's
I don't know. It's like I mean, I scored horrific. I actually I should take that back. I scored fantastically low on my SATs and ACTs. So I was like, yeah, I don't even know if I would want to do either one of those. But yes, these are actually these kind of brought me down, so I figured you'd enjoy them. I'm kidding. Um, the world is about to end, and you can't tell anyone, which kind of
Mhm.
feels the way we're in right now. Or two, nothing is fun anymore.
Oh man. Can you find enjoyment in life without things being fun? That's the thing.
See, that's always the qualifier, and this is all it has is just four words. So I don't know.
Nothing is fun anymore. Yeah, that's the thing. Some people take joy in being mean. So I guess I don't know. Even I do sometimes. So I don't know. I don't know. That's hard.
Yeah, it
I
is
think
hard.
I'd take the world.
I got you. Okay, so now these are this, and I got four little questions here that I got from Rob Lowe. He has a podcast called Literally, and so he was interviewing David Spade, and
Mhm.
he had a series of questions that he would ask, and actually it was of a series of questions from Vogue. I don't know if you've ever been. in Vogue or on the cover of Vogue. I have not. But these were the kind of questions that they ask, you know, whoever's in the in the magazine about, you know,
Right.
life and so forth. The first one, this is actually there's four here, but the first one I asked actually of Nam Le. If you had to see one of these three things, which would it be and why? A UFO, a ghost, or Bigfoot?
Mm, I'll take the ghost because
Really?
I feel like
Please.
there's something to learn from the ghost. I would assume if I'm going to have a ghost like interaction,
Okay.
and also bear with me, I was raised like Christian and we're all in the spiritual stuff. So
Oh,
I guess like my I
I was raised wicked Catholic, so yeah, I know where you're coming from.
but that's the thing, right? So you would assume it's some divine encounter with either, even if
Right.
it's a relative or an angelic encounter or God or something, it's like there's going to be something important that comes from that conversation or interaction.
If it's just, you know, walking in the in the corner of your periphery and you're just like, what's that? And it disappears. Because that was the other
Maybe I was supposed to go that way. That's the other, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because it may just be something like that. Because we were talking about it, and
Mhm.
I'm Team UFO. I am Team
Okay.
UFO. I there's this universe is way too big for us to be alone. I don't know what the ramifications would be if the
Right.
aliens landed on, and then it's like to your point, people who are of
Right.
deep faith, right, and whatever else, right. So how does that shake their worldview? So
Right.
that was always something in there. So that's what I wanted to find out. But I got another couple questions. What is your greatest extravagance, or that you
Wow. Like, as in, like, something I've spent too much money on?
just because you want exactly whether for good or for bad,
Oh.
or it's just
Oh.
an extravagance doesn't have to be, you know, expensive
Right.
either, right? I mean,
Right.
so like for me, let's see, what was my extravagance?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because I'm not. One thing that I consider my extravagance is my router. It's a $300 router. It's a gaming router, but
Right.
the internet is straight fire. I mean, when I have three kids doing school, and then one of them's like, and then like if Padawan 2 is on at school and gaming, and then everyone's
Right.
watching Netflix, it doesn't even flinch. It doesn't even flinch, and we have all kinds of nonsense connected to it. So that's my I think I mean there's some other things that I've got. Like I've had to pay for a roof. And that was, you know,
Wow.
that was a
Yeah.
little bit more than I expected, but, you know, but I mean that's not necessarily the most expensive thing, you know, I could have bought, but like extravagance
Right.
is like that router. So I don't know. I mean, do you
That's the
have
thing.
an extravagance?
Because I don't know if I like, I feel like I do. I
Okay.
just can't identify it. But I mean, like, off the top of my head is like my PlayStation because I love it so
Right.
much.
Did you upgrade it? And do you have all the drives and all that like out
No,
external
but that's
drive?
the thing. I haven't done all of that. I do have an external drive, but I bought one when I was at ASU, and I busted it like a year ago, and I just haven't gotten it fixed.
Got it. Yeah, the external drive, and I think I may have
Hard drive itself busted, or the cord is not working. So
Yeah, Padawan 2 got a external drive for his PS4 because he was running out of room, and it was a
nice.
terabyte drive, and it changed his life because now he's like, oh, I can download this and I can download that and I can play this and that. But he's
Yeah.
always on Apex and Fall Guys, so it's always one or two games he's always fixated on. What are you playing right now?
FIFA, big FIFA guy. FIFA, Madden, those are like the only two things that I play.
Okay,
So that's the thing. I don't need too much space, but
that's fair. As
it
long
goes
as you're
nonstop.
connected, then you're set. That's fair.
Exactly.
All right, next one. Which talent would you like to have the most that you don't have, or that you don't have currently?
A talent that I don't have that I wish I had. I wish I could sing.
Okay,
Like I grew up playing instruments, but
okay,
I can keep a pitch, but it's not good.
right. Yeah, I think Kyle Dodd. I was talking with him. He said the same exact thing. He was gifted athletically, but he can dance because he can shuffle his feet, you know, defending a play. But
Right.
But he was like, it's just I would love to be able to sing a song and play an instrument while I'm doing
Yeah,
it. So that was one of the
yeah.
things he was talking
That's
about.
hard. That is a really underrated skill. I don't know what's wrong with my brain, but like, sorry to rant. Like,
No, please.
piano was the first thing
Okay.
I ever knew when I was a kid. Like, when you're, I don't know if everyone else like it. When I was a kid, I thought I could do everything. First time I took piano lessons for 10 years. I hated every single day of it. Every single, because I was so horrible at it. I could not read
You
music to
couldn't
save
get
my
better
life.
or anything, really?
I mean, like
I
I
mean,
was okay
practicing
by
at
the
10
time I got.
years, have something.
Oh my god, no! And that's the funny part. Like I've forgotten most of it. I was so bad at it.
Oh, got it.
It was frustrating. Like I couldn't singing and playing instruments. Like I still try. I can do guitar chords and sing,
Okay.
but playing piano, like full blown pieces all over, and
Yeah.
it people are just so skilled. Again, I don't know if it's just my brain, but
I
it
feel you. I mean,
doesn't operate that
I
way.
can play, but I can't sing very well.
Right,
But I mean, I try. But it's like, again, it sounds
right.
like you're a band geek, right? So you're able to play the instruments. But it's like it's not like as a band guy, we're running around singing everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're always playing our instruments. So I agree with you. This one's kind of twofold, right? The first one is,
Mm.
which word or phrase do you overuse?
I overuse literally.
Okay.
Um, I overuse what other words, man? Oh my gosh. I am aware of. I know
Okay.
that is a
You
um
just
that
like to. That's
that
just
makes sense. If that makes sense. I say
okay.
that all the time. If
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's a
Got it.
qualified I use. All the time.
That so mine is outstanding and excellent, especially on the
Okay.
show. I'm always spitting those out. So now for you, which words or phrases are overused,
Oh, to me.
or you think are overused?
Um it sucks because like as a writer, I know you're not supposed to use cliches, and I get,
Right.
it took a lot of hammering to my head that stop using cliches. It took
Right.
me forever, and not even that was a cliche. Like took me forever. Like I don't know if there's anything that I really dislike when I read stuff,
Or even
or
hear it
even
in
like,
conversation, like something like someone says something and it doesn't make you cringe.
oh,
Like,
there's definitely something, and I hate that my brain
well,
is like
one of them that bugs the hell out of me is
only
across.
stuff where I'm like
Well, one of them is across, ACCROST instead of ED,
across.
across, and you hear the t. So yeah, that one
Oh, classy. I hate when people say classy. Like, what we're not in, France or whatever, 1800s England. Like, this is like, this isn't the caste society. Like, why are we saying, like, classifying things as classy or not classy? That, to me, like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that thinking, but
Maybe
it's
the
like
greater burn is tasteful.
tasteful. Yeah, that's a good
Maybe
word.
that's
That's a
it.
good word.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like because then they're like they have to think about it. But yeah, maybe it wasn't as tasteful as I thought it was.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I yes, and I'm trying not to use the two words that I just ragged myself on for. Um, what is your motto? What is your
um,
motto?
don't be a dick. That
Okay.
is my motto because it's harder for people to understand, but it's, to me at least, fundamentally it's not too hard. You don't have to be the nicest human being on earth, but just don't be a dick.
No, absolutely. And I think that's the thing that I was we've I can't explain it, but I'm so there's a talk show that I absolutely love to listen to.
Hmm.
And what year were you born, by the way?
96.
Okay, so this radio show was from '95. I was listening to a radio show replay from '95, so it's
Hmm.
literally it's older than you. And what they were talking about was is that how people were getting angrier, right,
Right.
and less patient and everything. I'm like, damn, we were talking about it back then, right? So I think it's just a matter of, okay, is that how have we always been that way, or is it just something that now it's just becoming more intense? I don't know. But to your point,
Right.
don't being a dick, right? I think it's definitely it should be easy to do.
Yeah.
It should be easy to do. Like what
Yeah.
what else are you gaining? What else are you trying to do? Unless you're just that angry.
Exactly.
Unless you're just that angry to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's why, like that's always been it for me. And again, like I think, like again, like my upbringing for sure, like definitely influences that
Right.
because like I thought my, growing up, I was like, oh, I want to be like Jesus, be the nicest human being on earth that you can. And so I guess that's definitely influence. I think, even though over the years where, I've reeled it back
Right.
tremendously
Exactly.
over the past 20 years of my life, but like it's still very fundamentally there, just treat everybody with respect and
And I think
the
that's different.
same.
Yeah, and that's interesting too because I was my a couple of my very dear friends owned a business that I worked for a while, and one of the things that I heard is that when you're in an executive position or even when you're in sales, you have to be an asshole. And I don't know if it's not necessary. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out if
Oh,
that's is it. Do you have to be an asshole because you're working the deal, but you don't have to
right.
necessarily be a dick when you're talking to them? Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Is that something?
Yes.
Does that make sense that it's a little bit too different? I mean, it didn't click with me until we started talking, but maybe that's it, right? That you can still be respectful, but still
Absolutely.
be an asshole
Absolutely.
about what you're doing. So I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that one. So
Like there's a way, and especially like even in journalism. I don't know if that's it's kind of universal. I feel like in a lot of fields where
right,
you're told you have to be a certain way. You have to
yes,
be not there's a word not unforgiving, but relent. There's some word I'm forgetting.
right,
Anyway, like you have to be a certain way, right? And you have to be selfish in intent. But that's the funny part at ASU, being around Paula Balvin, being around Doug Howard, like
okay,
seeing even Jeff Meck, like those are some of the nicest people I've met in our industry, and they, are at the top of our industry.
absolutely,
And then when I got with the athletic, being just even around like some of the top, like Nicole Auerbach is one of the nicest human beings I've met.
okay,
Chris Biani, one of the nicest human beings I've met. Andy Staples is a very personable dude. Like, and
excellent.
it comes off as very genuine. And he's like literally like those are people who are the top of our industry. And the one thing that I feel like is, more often than not, like I've run into people who are nice and genuine people who you wouldn't think, oh, you're not a jerk. You don't seem like, sure, I don't know if they've undercut people in their lives or not.
Of
I
course,
don't know. But they do not give off that impression.
interesting.
And there's
Okay,
always this sense of helping one another to get to a higher point. And it's taken a lot of, stress off my shoulders because when I was a
right,
kid, I was like, when I was in college, I was like, do I have to be cutthroat? Do I have to not care
right.
about other people's well-being to, you know, ascend in my industry? I haven't had to. I haven't had to betray who I am, and honestly, it's lended to me getting to where I am.
See, that
Because
actually is very cool because you didn't have to sell yourself out.
yeah,
You could stay true to yourself because I know that there are pockets of cutthroat competition. Like, have you seen
exactly.
that at the national level or even where you're at now that there are some people that are like, okay, just you can't cross that bridge or else I'm going to if you try to cross that bridge, you just burned ours. I mean, is that have you encountered that outside of ASU?
No, not. I'm trying to think. Maybe I'm trying to think where I would have experienced that. When I was with the Angels, yeah,
Hmm.
like I could see like there was definitely like competition on the beat, like just
Okay.
on the beat. But that's because it was a beat. When I was at Texas, I was surprised because I thought, because it's such a big beat,
Of
and there's
course.
been people who are on there for 20 years. Like they're competitive, don't get me wrong, but they're not. They don't seem like they're undercutting one another.
Mm,
There's like rivalries, but it's competitive rivalry,
of
not
course.
a I'm better than this person, or even between like recruiting sites, they can get testy,
Yes.
but they all seem to have a pretty good relationship, even at Tech, which surprised the heck out of me. Like Jeff Howe with Horns 24/7. Like he literally drove me from Austin to San Antonio, like there and back, to go see Tom
Wow.
Herman speak one time. So yeah, like there are people that
That's very cool.
yeah, I've been very blessed in that a lot of people I've bumped into in my career have been genuine people.
That's interesting you say that though, because again, given your personality, you kind of you have a tendency to attract that, right? So if there is, are you able to kind of sense the people that aren't? What is it? You are judged by the company you keep. So are you able to judge and kind of feel out? Yeah, this person isn't who I need to be around a lot.
Yeah, like it's not too hard to get a feel for that. Like all like Sports Illustrated, for example, like I could tell, who I should give like who was worth, my interaction, who
Got it.
I wasn't so much, I didn't want to emulate. you know, like Jenny Varentes at SI was someone like I knew even before I met her, I was like, that's my favorite writer. And then
That's
meeting
cool.
her, and then her being just this again nice human being that you're just like, oh, let me help you and give you a list of contacts and references and stuff like that. And you're just like,
Wow.
it blows your mind because you don't expect these people who are at the top of the industry that you think keep all these secrets. They
Right.
don't. They're just good people and they're good
That's
at what they do.
that's so cool. And so you were at SI for how long?
I was there for a year.
And it was at the HQ then, at the headquarters in New York, I guess. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
And
middle of the sale or the sale. Sorry.
in the middle of the
The
sale
sale.
of SI.
Yeah.
Got
hmm
it. And so
yeah.
then, what was it like the first day at SI in New York? I mean, were you living in New York or were you outside in the burbs and then you trained in?
yeah. No, I was in New York. I was in
Okay.
Central Harlem. It
Right
was a
on.
it was such a fan. I loved it. I loved it out there. My first day, I can't. I'm trying to remember my first day. It's crazy that I don't remember it fully. I remember freaking out because like I had a desk for the first time with my name on it. Like that was different, and I had like a phone at my desk. It was exciting. It was really thrilling because, especially this is a very small detail, I guess, but where I was seated, I was away from our desk because I did like all of our clickbait. Like I was part of
Oh,
our news breaking team,
got it.
is what they called it. So our main responsibility was to do clickbait, but we could do features and stuff on our own. I was kind of isolated across the aisle from everyone who was in my department.
Okay.
So I sat next to our social media guys. They were
Okay.
like beside me and in front of me, and all the foot traffic would come right next to my desk. So I
Okay.
got to, just in passing, just meeting all these people and them introducing themselves to me, like it again, like it was again one of those experiences where a majority of people there were very personable and just open. Once you're on their team, I don't know what it's like when you're not on their team,
Right.
but for a majority of those people, even now, like I still keep in contact with a lot of my SI
That's
colleagues.
cool.
Like they're good people.
You're
So
able to see that must have been kind of crazy knowing that you're walking into SI, given the history and everything
yeah,
that's there, and just the potential of who could show up. So there was,
exactly.
and that kind of leads to my next question, right? One, who's the? So I guess it's three ways, right? One, who's the most
hmm
famous athlete you met? Two, who was the athlete you wish you had met? And
hmm
three, who was the athlete that was there that you didn't get to meet? That makes sense.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. That's a really good one. Um, wow, that first one, it's a toss up between like Kershaw, Trout, Pujols. Um,
Okay.
man, who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? I mean, as far as like interviewing and talking to, that's who I can think of. Like
Got it.
that's the biggest ones for me. Um, let's see. The second one I wish I could meet. I mean, Charles Woodson is my favorite athlete ever.
Okay.
Like he was the reason why number two is still my favorite number because of him.
Right on.
And like he won the Heisman, I think the year I was born. So it's just like
That's funny.
he played for my favorite football team, so I love him. I wish I could meet
Okay.
him. And then
Right on.
the athlete that I wish I would have talked to is Kobe Bryant.
Was he in the building?
I I was standing next to him in New York, so it was 2 months before I left SI. He
Right.
was doing a book tour for his kids' book,
Okay.
and I think I was the only reporter there. They had like an NBA.com person there, but
Right.
he sat on stage and read his or someone read an excerpt out of his book, and he took questions from kids. So there were like
Okay.
50, 60 kids in this room, and then there's like like a room like kind of like this where there's a gosh, what is this thing called? Island in between like
Oh yes.
the kids and the stage and everything else. And so he took questions from the kids. He didn't take questions from me or
Of
the other
course.
reporter. And then at the end, he came back and walked through, and he was like in the same way, like us. We were standing right next to each other, I didn't ask him for
Ah,
a picture. I didn't ask for an autograph. I just let him do his thing. But it
yeah,
was, a year later, especially for someone who grew up in Southern
of
California, like
course, right?
looking back on that and like feeling, I think I can't remember who described. Like someone said, the life force that he was, and
Yes,
experiencing that in person.
right.
I get it. Like I get it.
It was
So I wish I
vibrating.
would have
The
talked to him.
the the space around him was vibrating. See,
Absolutely.
and that's just right there. That's so cool. And so that was just right for, towards the end of your tenure. Then, were you
Yeah. Yeah.
were
Yeah.
you was it a contract, or would you, or did just they ended it because of the sale?
It was a contract, but I left because I accepted the job with the Athletic.
Got it.
So I gave my 2 weeks, and literally a year. I made it like a year to the day, I believe. Like because
Okay.
I moved in the same day that I left. I know I got a Snapchat notification saying like it was a year later, but
So now, did you have your own apartment, or were you sharing something, or how did what was your Harlem layout like? Did you what?
oh my gosh, my Harlem layout was shit. It was so shitty. I lived in a closet that was converted into an extra room, essentially.
Literally.
Literally,
So
yeah,
that's a big ass closet that turned into a small ass bedroom.
exactly. I had a
Wow.
twin size bed or bed that literally took up 90% of my room. Like at the end of the bed, I could stick my feet out and stand up, and then there was the wall, and
Wow.
then even like to the side of me, like I had like I didn't even have a case, like I had some type of shelf that was like maybe like a foot long in between where my closet was and where the head of my bed was. So I'd turn around and that was it.
Wow.
So it
And you
was
were
not
paying
great.
2 grand a month for that bullshit.
Exactly. I was paying like $900.
Yeah.
And
And you didn't even have, it was a
it's funny
shared
because I was the
bathroom.
third
Oh,
person. And
oh, got it.
like, oh yeah, shared bathroom. Yeah. There were two other people. Yeah. And they had the big rooms. Like one of my roommates, I met him in high school. I know
Okay.
him in high school and just happened to get lucky. The guy who left that closet room, he left just as I needed a
Even.
space to live in New
Okay.
York. So I wasn't I wasn't too picky, but in retrospect, oh yeah, I wish I could have gone somewhere else.
Well, that's interesting when you move. People don't realize that when you move to the island of Manhattan or in that area, you're lucky if you get a closet, right? Because again,
Oh yeah,
and then there are sometimes where you see there are massive homes that were 4 or 5 bedroom homes, living room, kitchen, all this other stuff that they just picked apart and they said, okay, now these are all apartments. Slap a door here and
yeah,
like, ta-da, move in, and you're like, okay. So that was one of the things I learned. I never lived in there in New York, but always visiting. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the way it is now.
yeah,
So you don't get all the space and the view and everything else like you do on the West Coast.
yeah.
It's a
It's a 180.
complete different vibe. So, and then so how's the games going? What do you got going on? Anything else that came up, or any changes? I don't
Uh,
have Twitter on, so I don't know what's going on.
oh no, you're good. Like I saw that Luka Doncic like rolled his ankle, but he's back in, so my editors aren't freaking out. So we're
And
good.
then you'd have to be covering that whole thing. Any major injuries in the NBA so far? I mean, I don't know.
Not today. I
Okay,
mean, Gordon Hayward for the Celtics sprained his ankle a couple days ago, but
got it. Now, is this regular season, or is this like playoff, or what is it right
no,
now?
they're in postseason.
This
This
is
is the
postseason.
postseason now.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right, because Phoenix won 8 in a row and didn't go to the postseason. I forgot about that. A lot of people were pulling their hair out about that, so
Uh,
I forgot about that. I should have known my timeline, but I wasn't paying attention to that. So
yeah.
poor
Oh,
Phoenix
you're good.
fans. Poor Phoenix fans. So, um, give us one of your craziest Texas stories. Like one of your, I wanted. What was one of your first Texas football stories when you're covering Texas? Because I'm sure it just kind of glommed right onto you. So what was it like?
Oh man, the best experience. Oh man, I have a good story.
All
So
right.
like, before the LSU game,
Okay.
you know, in Austin, they were literally setting up on like Tuesday or Wednesday, and
Wow.
so it had to be Tuesday because I spoke to players. So I'm walking back, and there's this group of people. I think there were like 4 or 5 guys, and then this older woman, and or this older couple. I started talking to them, just shooting the shit,
Of course.
and then they're like, "Hey, just get a beer, like, sit down, they're grilling, they had a grill, so they're making chicken,
On a
and they're like,
Tuesday.
"Hey, just come on, come down." We started and we just shopped it for, like, half, and they made
Wow.
me, what's it called? They made me lunch, they gave me a couple beers, and they were custodians who worked on campus. They
Oh,
worked,
right on.
they had interacted with some of the players actually too.
Okay.
And some of they were talking about, like our players on the team, Sam Ellinger, the quarterback. They
Right.
love Sam Ellinger in Texas, and understandably, he's a good dude on top of being the best quarterback they've had since Colt McCoy. And so one of the stories that the guy told me
Right.
was that oh man, I'm gonna mess it up. He just told me that I'm like the did something really nice for him. I just can't remember what it was. Well,
Okay.
man, okay, he's a good dude, and he
Right.
doesn't just play it up.
That's cool. And this is on a Tuesday, 5 days before the game.
That was on a Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, and then I mean, even leading up to that game, I missed game day, but I mean, just seeing the setup for it and seeing the hundreds of thousands of people who were on campus and around campus, it's the most surreal thing I've ever seen. Because I love football. Don't get me wrong, but when it's in Texas, it is different in Texas. Like that is religion out there, and I see why
Yeah.
now.
Exactly. You're able to report. It's always given that we are from the West Coast, there's
Yeah,
nothing like that. I mean, I was born and raised in Arizona, but even living here in California, we love the tailgate experience. And it's like
right.
it it's a shadow of what they do in Texas,
Oh
and
yeah.
even what they do in Texas, it almost may be a shadow of what they do in the Southeast. So, have you, while you were
Yeah.
covering Texas, did you ever get to travel and do an SEC game because LSU came to you, but did you ever go the other direction?
No, so I didn't get to go to LSU. That was like the most disappointing part about getting laid off. I was like, man, I get to cover
You get to
the
go.
LSU game. Like I had that circle. Even the Oklahoma State game, like I was excited
Yeah,
about. But you know, I'm trying to think. I know I've been in New Orleans before, but never to cover a football game. But
got it.
I hope I get to do that
It will happen. Now, do
eventually.
you think with if the Big 12 does actually play, will
Mhm.
you get to cover games? Do you think they'll have you cover games, or is that not necessarily?
I would pitch it. You know why? Because
Okay.
it's like it's an. I feel like if we can have coverage of it, then why not? And I don't think anyone else, stay. I think it's only me and Shea Serrano who are based out in
Oh,
Austin
okay.
or like Texas, I believe. I think he's in San Antonio.
Okay.
So it would make sense if we have somebody out there to go cover it. Then why not?
Yeah, exactly. And Shea Serrano, the author, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
exactly. So he does. So I think that would be brilliant. I think so. Now that to that end, how many games do you think the Big 12 gets to play? Like, do they get to week 2? Do they get to week 3?
I Wow, that's a really good question. I think they get the week 3.
Okay.
I do think they get the week 3. I just don't know like how long you know they'll get through it. I think they're gonna try and push through it regardless. It's just I don't know. I
You
I
think they'll
hate telling
finish the
people
season?
this.
You think they'll finish the season?
Right? Like if you'd asked me this like 2 weeks ago, I would be like flat no. But I don't know.
You think there's a chance then?
Don't I think they try to. I
Okay.
think there's a chance they do, but it's not going to be clean. Like I think there's going to be teams that don't play a full schedule. And I think that's what my answer really should have been from the get go with
Okay.
everyone is that like we're similar to what we're seeing now, where you have conferences drop out and postpone their seasons completely.
Right.
I think that you'll see teams, you know, play. Some teams won't have the same like whatever they're playing 8 games each. I
Yeah.
think there will be some teams who play 5 and 6, and some will play the full 8 if you're
Interesting.
lucky.
But do you think that there's going to be some football played in some level? They're not.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't think those three conferences are going to pull back? They're going to like, yep, we're going to fight through.
Yeah, it's a
Interesting.
month from now. September 19th, I believe, is the
Right.
date when everyone's playing. Yeah, a month from now, they'll play.
Are they doing practices right now, or are they doing? Is it just like the pre-workouts? Are they doing training camps as well? I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
It's it's training camps as well. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It's training camps as well.
that's it. And so then, how many games do you think the SEC gets through? You think in week 3 as well, or do you think they get further?
I think the same thing. I think that's my general. I'm sorry to generalize it, I guess, but
That's
again, like
okay.
I think it's you have teams who will have some type of hiccup where they're not able to play, probably even 3 games, 2 games in,
Hmm.
but I think there will be teams that do. It wouldn't in the same breath, like it wouldn't surprise me if there's an outbreak on 2 teams, and then the conference is like we're shutting it down completely.
Okay.
But I feel like there's just so much, like football just means, it's very cliche to say, but football means so much more to that region of the country
Absolutely.
that they're going to put, like, I could see them saying, oh well, this team dropped out, well your season's over, we'll
We'll
just
play
keep pushing
without
to the
you.
others. Yeah.
Yeah, that becomes a bye week, and we can get to go ahead and continue and play. That's going to be. And how about the ACC? Obviously, the ACC is just Clemson. Do you think
Right.
Do you think Clemson's holding the whole ACC hostage, saying, "Okay, you guys are going to play"? You know, COVID be damned.
Wow. Yeah, I think they might. I could see them doing it because I mean, I was shocked. I mean, I guess I wasn't too shocked, but to see like Trevor Lawrence, someone who doesn't really have any incentive from playing this season,
Yeah,
really advocating for them to play this year.
right.
I think that kind of speaks to the mentality out there. They want to play. They're going to find a way to.
And they get out there. See, that's the other thing, because I think I saw some people, some ASU fans, even some Pac-12 fans, just kind of
You know,
tweeting like, I don't know how that will make me feel watching other teams play football, right? Am I going to be pissed? Am I going to be
yeah,
happy? Am I going to be, as a fan, right? How about you?
right.
Would you be pissed that everyone else is playing and not your own team? Or is it just like, okay, I'm taking what I can get and I'm happy with the decision my team made?
Well, see, that's the thing. Like fans are fans. They want to see their team play.
Of course, you
So
want to be
it's
entertained.
you're gonna be upset because again, like even just from the psychological aspect of you're being a part of a team, even if you're not a part of a team,
Right.
like it's gonna be defeating in some manner that you're not watching your team play. So I think from a fan perspective, there'd be that bit of disappointment,
Hmm.
but and I guess people have been like, oh, the media wants the season to be canceled. I don't want the season to be canceled because as someone who's literally been fucking laid off for it,
Exactly.
like I don't want it, but I also don't want. So it's like me, I can knowing
Right.
the
Oops, I think I lost you, my man.
everything
I just
comprehensive. Uh
Oh, I just so you
oh,
were saying, but I
can you
mean,
hear?
no, because I think you were admitting to having been part of the media canceling the entire, because you wanted
Oh
yeah,
yes,
you were admitting to
yes.
that, so I think that's why it. Although it was actually another writer at
That's
SI that took that, so I don't know, took that credit. Yes,
canceled. Yeah,
I'm the one that canceled the whole season, but
yeah. I did that. It was all me. All the powers that I have. I canceled the football
you
season.
zinged it all. You created the Rona to cancel all of it. It just
Yeah, I mean,
from the
I
long
just
time
don't
ago.
want people to die. I just don't want kids to die, and that's the thing. Like everyone's like, "Oh, well, it's like the flu, or it's like fever." Now it's funny. It's weird that they're just now making a big deal out of myocarditis, or however you pronounce it,
I
the
think that's
heart
right. Yep.
disease that plays a bit. Like that was a known, symptom, since the MLB season had started, because Eduardo Rodriguez literally had to opt out of the Major League Baseball season because of
Because
it.
of that.
And so to put 18, 22-year-old kids at risk with a, I'm sorry, like a virus that we don't know
Hmm.
anything about, that affects people completely differently,
Right.
that we don't know what the ramifications are even a year from now after
Yes.
having it, it's just not worth the risk. I'd rather watch football, 5 years from now and say, thank God we sat out that year, as opposed to saying, man, why did we play football? Now we don't have it,
That's an interesting way of looking at it too, because it's like, okay, we sat out this year to be able to do a restart, right? But if we
Yep.
go ahead and push forward and like you said, they do play 3, 4, 6 weeks of football. Does that how does that
Right.
negatively impact how does that negatively impact the 21 season? Does it push it back?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like I didn't realize. So this like very much early on. Like this didn't really hit me until like what is it now, August? So like a month ago, 2 months ago, June. Like a friend was telling me, like, why would they play a spring season? You're asking those kids to play, 20 some games within
Right.
a 12-month span, which for the body, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's right. That's the other part of it too. So I don't know how they make it work. I think there is a way to make it work, whether it's abbreviating both seasons
Hmm.
or even starting, a little bit later, but I don't know, man. I hate sounding like the guy who hates football or doesn't want to be played, but it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to me.
As much as we again, and that's as a fan, right? Obviously, that's huge,
Right.
but also as someone who is dependent on the sport from a career perspective, right? To say that it's like there are thinking from a humane perspective, not necessarily
Yep.
selfish or entertainment or anything else. It's like, look, this is, and I just like I just like I said, I just said it. If those three conferences push forward, it's going to impact the 21 season because then the community spread continues and there is
Yep.
no controlled spread of it, come September, right? I
Yep.
mean, we're seeing outbreaks as people are coming back to school because
Yep.
no one's doing that. So it's just, yeah, it's much, much longer. So it is unfortunate. I do have one set of last questions for you from If You Had To, by the way. Last
Sure.
two. One, you're a peasant in medieval Europe, or two, you live in the Jurassic period.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
know.
Wow. Yeah, because dinosaurs, I don't know how I could do. You can trick human beings. I don't know if you can trick a dinosaur. Like if
unless you get
I'll
caught by
probably
unless you get caught by the Black Plague or the
that's the other,
bubonic plague or whatever that
oh
was
my
running
gosh.
around in the Dark
Yeah,
Ages.
that's the other thing too, the diseases. Oh man, yeah, I'll take peasant though because I feel like there's I feel like the odds are better. Like you get the 1 out of 8,000 chance or whatever it is to become a squire or end up in the
Right.
kings or even become the king.
In
I'll take
some
that
way or another.
chance.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel you, right? Because again, you don't have a fighting chance against a dinosaur.
Exactly.
Jurassic Park proved that none of us are going to survive any of that in any way, shape, or form. So, tell everyone what you're doing. What do you got to plug? What are you working on? What do you want everyone to see?
Oh, so right. This past week, I did a story on college football. I spoke to a bunch of players from the player unity movements,
Okay.
especially in the Pac-12. There's two guys from UCLA. Very bright kid. He's 19 years old. Otito Agbina.
Okay.
He gave me some. He gave me some of the best quotes I've
Hmm.
ever had. From somebody. And again, like all the questions were centered around why players decided to start this movement, why they're
Right.
unifying together and everything else. But like the one quote that like resonated with me the most was he said something about how, you know, when people are often being, taken advantage of, they don't usually understand. They don't usually they're not usually aware that they are being taken advantage of.
Got it.
And And
Hmm.
the reason why that just stuck out so much to me is because like we haven't seen. I mean, granted, we've seen like sporadic like with the Northwestern with Kane Coulter like hey they're going to unify and they're trying to push for
Right.
NIL rights, but for them to take it to this level and the maturity of some of the people that I've spoken with, it blew me away. So I'm doing a scatterbrain uh, sharing of it, but I would definitely encourage like somebody if you're interested in college football, like definitely check that out to see because it gives you the players' perspective of the past like 2 3 weeks. So I spoke to players over the course,
Right.
of all the fallout. Like I spoke to them after they decided, like the Pac-12 players after they put out
Okay.
their piece in the Players Tribune, Big 10 player, and then even over the past couple of weeks after
Oh,
stuff
okay.
got shut down. There's also perspective from there too. So
Interesting.
It's worth a read.
Definitely tag me in that or tweet it at me so this way I can share it as well. What else are you doing? Anything else? Or, I mean, do you have free time to be able to do other projects, or is that one of the ones you're focusing on?
Yeah, so like there's definitely been some free time. Next up, like I'm working on some pieces. I'm talking to some trainers who have worked with players in the NFL over the past off season, just to get insight on how players have gone about training.
Yep.
In the middle of COVID and the pandemic and everything
Right.
else. I reached out to uh, the Fisher Institute, which is based out in Phoenix.
Hmm.
I did a story with them like when I was back at House of Sparky, and
Okay.
so I'm trying to get their psychologists and their head trainer Brett the chat with me about like how that's gone and how they've been impacted, if at all, by
Right on.
um, the pandemic. So
That's going to be exciting. Looking forward to it as well. You doing any podcasting, anything else like that? Are you making an appearance on a radio show anytime soon?
yeah, so I've jumped on and off with our
Oop, who was that again? I'm sorry.
to Nora Princiati and Danny Kelly. I'm sorry. My internet's going in and out.
Oh, good.
I've been on and off with our Ringer NFL show
Okay.
hosted by Kevin Clark. So
Very nice. Excellent. That is good to hear. What else you got? Anything else you got? Any last final wishes for everyone out there? What are your thoughts? What do you got? Words of encouragement? How'd you like to sign off?
um, I'll say this: like just stay safe. Everyone stay safe. Understand there's still a virus out there, and that it'll end. Like if there was any like words of encouragement, it's like this will pass.
Right.
It's not fun right now, obviously, but to do it for your neighbor, do it for your loved ones, do it for your friends and family. Like this isn't you know like if there is a reason for you to wear a mask and distance and everything else, like it's not meant to be an infringement on your rights, but do it to help others around you.
Absolutely. Excellent. Well, I love you and I just miss you, and I'm glad we had a good show, and I appreciate your patience with me, and I'm glad we're able to actually do an hour and a half because I know we are only going to do 30 minutes, but I really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with me on the social club. So definitely look forward to having you back. I think we'll probably do something when everything kicks off. Obviously, if the Big 12 pushes forward, I'm going to want to have you back on so this way you can talk about Texas and everything else you've been hearing. So we
Definitely.
will definitely do that. I'm going to change slides real quick. Don't hang up from the Zoom real quick, 'cause I
You
just
got
want
it.
to talk to you real quick, but I'm switching over here back to everyone again. Thank you everyone for joining again. Please forgive the technical difficulties, always trying to provide a most stable experience as possible, but I'm sure some of you have already joined, so I appreciate that. We have another show, two shows next week. We're going to do another one where we're probably going to talk about dystopian universes with Namle, and then we actually have another show on Friday in which I will go ahead and promote our mystery guest for that time as well. But we do also have a Sun Devil Summit coming up September 4th. That was supposed to be the kickoff weekend. But we have one coming up on September 4th, so make sure you are able to join that one. Even if you are out in the middle of the forest camping or whatever else it may be, try to join us and do that as well. But again, I appreciate you. I love you. Love yourself. Love those around you. Thank you so much for being part of the show tonight. As always, tweet at me. Make sure you follow the 42 Social Club on Twitter, on Instagram, and actually follow us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. And once you subscribe, there's going to be a little bell that comes up. Make sure you ring that bell, and then you'll be made aware of any time that I go live or post new videos. So, again, appreciate you all. Have a wonderful week. And as always, make sure that you are always staying social.